Hello there, boxing fans around the world. Thank you for joining me once again on Talk and Fight for another episode of Boxing News Today, courtesy of our friends over at boxing247.com. And we are going to go around the world today. We're going to start off in Australia. As a matter of fact, the other day I mentioned Andrew Moloney, and he in fact scored a 10-round unanimous decision over Frolian Saludar. So Andrew Moloney's record is now 22-2 with 14 knockouts. Saludar is at 32-5-1 with 22 knockouts. That was a junior bantamweight bout on Tuesday that I reported on, taking place in Sydney, Australia. Also on that card, we saw Faris Chevalier go toe-to-toe against Ronald Quinlan, and Chevalier defended his WBA Oceania light heavyweight belt with a victory via unanimous decision over Quinlan, again, in Sydney, Australia, and that was at the Star Event Centre. Good news out of Australia. Elsewhere around the world, in Kazakhstan, we saw 2016 Olympic gold medalist Daniyar Yeleussinov won his first world title as he won the IBO World Welterweight Championship by defeating Juan Hernan Liel, who's now 15-2, via unanimous decision in front of a sold-out arena at the Nur Sultan in Kazakhstan. Fighting for the first time in his professional career, Daniyar showed fast hands along with power early on as he tried to impress the hometown crowd. The power was in full display in the second round as he knocked down Liel with a straight left to the body. Yeleussinov then would land a fast counter left uppercut to land a tip of the nose, dropping Liel once for a second time. Liel would then go into survival mode for the rest of the way and would face a rain of punches on defensive-minded. Liel, unfortunately, an injured left hand midway through the fight prevented Yeleussinov from getting a stoppage. Yeleussinov won easily, though, by scores of 120-105 twice and 120-106, and improved his perfect record to 11-0 with 6 knockouts. Over we go to Heck, where we saw undefeated Kosovo-Star Labinot Xhoxhaj, who's 15-0 with 12 knockouts, and he'll be gunning for the vacant WBO International Cruiserweight title on December 27th. The Swiss-based banger will be fighting for the only second time in his birth country when he faces Finland's Marko Mononon, who's 7-1 with 1 knockout on a show promoted by Arena Box Promotion and Gojak Boxing Promotions. Xhoxhaj, who's 28, turned professional in the summer of 2016 and has since dispatched most of his opponents in quick fashion. Exactly 1 year before his clash with Mononon on December 27, 2020, he won his first pro title when he stopped Hungarian Thomas Lodi for the vacant UBF Intercontinental Heavyweight crown in what was his first paid outing in Kosovo. Now he returns to the same venue, the Palestra Karajak, for what is arguably his biggest fight to date in front of his fellow countrymen. The Xhoxhaj versus Mononon UBO International Cruiserweight title fight will co-headline Fight Night Kosovo, along with Edmund Zeffi, who's 8-1 with 5 knockouts, and Christian Mazone, who's 6-2 with 3 knockouts, for the WBO Youth World Super Welterweight crown. Elsewhere, we see that the signings keep on coming. MTK Global signs top amateur Nico Livars. Livars bring to the paid ranks a stellar amateur pedigree, having won national and international titles at junior, youth, and senior level, while also representing Great Britain at various tournaments around the world. The Mansfield youngster will now bring his talents into the professional game, and he's extremely excited for the journey alongside MTK Global. Now, this is interesting. Speaking of signings, 16-0, Andres Cortes, a promotional free agent, seeks big fights in 2022, reads the headlines. Undefeated super featherweight Andres Cortes, who's 16-0, 9 knockouts, is looking for big fights in 2022. Cortes, a promotional free agent who ended 2021 with 2 spectacular knockouts on national television, feels he's ready to step up in competition. He says, 2021 was a great year for me, and I showed the type of fighter I've become since the pandemic hit. I took out Genesis Cervania in one round, a fighter who had never been stopped. I followed that win with another knockout against Mark Bernaldez, another tough fighter. I feel I'm ready to step up against all the top guys at super featherweight in 2022. Hailing from Las Vegas, Nevada, Cortes is seeking to sign with one of the top promotional organizations in boxing. He believes his performance in the ring have proved he's one of the top prospects in the sport. So we'll see what happens on that front. Elsewhere, we see that Gary Russell Jr. is going to go toe-to-toe against Mark Magsayo on January 22nd, with the venue now confirmed. That will be held in the Borgata Hotel Casino in Atlantic City, USA. Gary Russell Jr. is 31-1 with 18 knockouts from the U.S. will make the mandatory defense of his featherweight title, the WBC, against Filipino Mark Magsayo, presented by Showtime Championship Boxing on January 22nd in the Borgata Hotel Casino in Atlantic City. Russell, who's 33, has defended his WBC belt 5 times since he defeated Mexico's Johnny Gonzalez in March 2015. Magsayo, who's 23-0 with 16 knockouts and is trained by Freddie Roach, is the number 2 contender for the WBC and is coming off a major win by defeating Mexican Julio Heja. Well, that should be a good fight. Elsewhere, we see that Robson Concheco is going up against Xavier Martinez at the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Tulsa on 29th of January, 2022. Robson Concheco versus Xavier Martinez, 130-pound title eliminator, takes main stage at Hard Rock Hotel and Casino. And tickets are now on sale, yada, yada. The 2022 Junior Lightweight World Title picture will get a bit clearer January 29th with this fight. The 10-round main event, a WBC title eliminator, will see recent title challenger Robson Obrabo Concheco attempt to turn back hard-charging Sacramento native Xavier Martinez. Martinez recently signed a multi-fight pact with Top Rank and will look to shine in his promotional debut. The fight and a co-feature will air on ESPN and ESPN Deportes at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Pacific Time, as well as the undercard bouts will stream live and exclusively on ESPN+. Elsewhere, we see that Keith Thurman is going to go toe-to-toe against Mario Barrios at the Michelob Ultra Arena and Mandalay Bay Resort and Casino in Las Vegas on February 5th, 2022. Former unified welterweight world champion Keith one-time Thurman will return to the ring to take on former super lightweight world champion Mario El Azteca Barrios in a 12-round welterweight showdown that headlines a jam-packed Fox Sports PBC pay-per-view lineup on Saturday, February 5th, as I say, from the Michelob Ultra Arena at the Mandalay Bay Resort and Casino in Las Vegas. In the co-feature, 4-division world champion Leo El Terremoto Santa Cruz will battle Kenan Bedo Carbajal in a 10-round super featherweight match, while battle-tested all-action welterweights Abel Ramos and Josito Riverside Rocky Lopez clash in a 10-round attraction. The pay-per-view telecast begins at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 p.m. Pacific Time, with former 2-division champion Luis Pantera Neri battling unbeaten Carlos Castra in a 10-round super bantamweight duel. Both Thurman and Barrios will look to rebound from their first career defeats with statement victories on February 5th to put them back on the path toward another world title. Thurman will be returning to the ring after a 30-month absence, which is the longest of his career. Barrios will be testing himself at 147 pounds for the first time in his pro career and against one of the best and most experienced welterweights in the sport. The other day I'd mentioned German boxer Felix Sturm, and lo and behold, his name pops up in a news item today. Felix Sturm is going toe-to-toe against Istvan Gili at the Westfalenhalle in Dortmund, Germany on the 26th of March, 2022. The current IBO Intercontinental and WBO Oriental Super Middleweight Champion Istvan Gili, who's 25 wins, 2 losses, 2 draws, will box March 26, 2022 in the Westfalenhalle in Dortmund. in the IBO World Championship elimination match against five-time boxing world champion Felix Sturm. The 38-year-old Istvan Shili, who lives in Switzerland, was once one of the best amateur boxers in Europe. He played 253 amateur fights, boxed at the 2005 World Cup in China, became European champion in 2006, boxed at the 2007 World Cup in the USA, and in 2008 at the European Championship in England, before moving to the pros in 2009. After 19 unbeaten professional fights in Europe, Sealy signed a contract with U.S. broadcaster Showtime in 2015, but in the same year suffered his first bitter defeat in the U.S. state of New York against the undefeated American Antoine Douglas. After many, Sealy had already written off for the great success. The ex-middleweight experienced the second spring of his career after switching to super middleweight. Contrary to expectations, he defeated the huge favorite Jade Mitchell, who was 20 wins with one loss, in February last year in his homeland, Melbourne, Australia, and made it into the top 15 of the World Association WBO. In December, he impressively defeated the unbeaten 10 years younger Istvan Kiss, who's 17 wins with 0 defeats. Let's make that 17 wins and 1 defeat by knockout, and secured the IBO Intercontinental belt. The World Federation then started the World Cup Eliminator against Felix Sturm, who was 3 years older than him, the biggest fight in Sealy's long boxing career. Wow, what a story. Elsewhere, we see that there's a purse bid up for grabs. WBO middleweight mandatory. Andrade versus Alam Kahalan. This is the letter sent to the two respective teams from the WBO for the mandatory bout between Demetrius Andrade and Janabek Alam Kanuli. RE purse bid WBO middleweight mandatory championship contest Demetrius Andrade versus Janabek Alam Kanuli. Gentlemen, on November 30th, 2021, this committee issued a negotiation letter ordering the parties herein to begin negotiations towards reaching an agreement for the subject matter bout. Thereafter, on December 13th, 2021, we issued a follow-up letter requesting the parties an update on the negotiations and granted 48 hours upon issuance to advise accordingly. Today, the 20-day term elapses and no agreement between the parties has been reached. Therefore, considering the preceding and that the WBO main offices will cease operations due to the Christmas holidays, this committee will schedule purse bid proceedings as follows. As per sections 11 through 13 of the enclosed copy of WBO regulations of World Championship contests, please be advised that a purse bid will be held at 12 p.m. noon Atlantic Standard Time on Friday, January 14th, 2022 at the WBO headquarters. Their offices are in San Juan, Puerto Rico. The minimum acceptable bid for the WBO middleweight division is $200,000. Yowza. Finally, Roy Jones Jr. has been selected for induction into the International Boxing Hall of Fame. You might recall the other day I mentioned the Atlantic City Boxing Hall of Fame and their induction of Lennox Lewis, that great Canadian fighter, among others. Boxing legend Roy Jones Jr. is universally regarded as one of the greatest pound-for-pound prize fighters in boxing history. In June, he'll be heading to Conestoga, New York, for his induction into the International Boxing Hall of Fame. The International Boxing Hall of Fame's class of 2022 inductees will be inducted during their June 9th through 12th ceremonies in Conestoga, New York, along with the postponed class of 2021 and 2020 formal inductions due to the COVID-19 restrictions. Said Jones, it is one of the highest honors ever you can get to be placed in the International Boxing Hall of Fame. I have the utmost respect for the Hall of Fame. I'd like to thank them for inducting me and everybody else in my career throughout my whole life, starting with the days with my father, Roy Jones Sr., to the days with Coach Alton Murkison, along with WOP, Valerie Cooper. The list goes on. I thank everybody who's involved and hope that I didn't leave too many people out. Congratulations to Roy Jones Jr. And I thank you once again for joining me on Boxing News today. I hope you will like, share, and subscribe. TalkinFight.com and visit me tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern Time, and hit that notification bell to let you know when I'm up next. See you then.